Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Jared Brandon, Gibson Brands.
Oh, jeez. You stymied him. He doesn't know what to do. He's looking around, trying
stunned.
to figure out what to do.
He's stunned.
You can't say that.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Jared Brandon, Gibson Guitars.
Hey, everybody, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. We are thrilled to death that you are listening to our show again, hopefully, and maybe even for the first time. That's exciting, too.
How can you listen again for the first time?
Way. No.
How can you listen again for the first time?
No. Stop it. Anyways, I can't explain how excited we are because it would take too long. So, without further ado, guest, who are you?
I am Dan Pechacek from Old Blood Noise Endeavors.
Oh, yes. My goodness. Boy, have we got a bunch of requests to have you on the show. I don't know what you're doing to people out there, but you are affecting them in one way or another.
Well, I hope not to disappoint. So.
Between the light and the microphone, you know, it's like, it's, now you got to go around. If you want any recognition at all, you have to go everywhere with that, just like Slash's top hat or something.
Yes.
So, yes, Dan, briefly, before we dive into the deep end of the show, what's the 2-cent version of who you are and what you do?
So I work at Old Blood Noise Endeavors as their digital pedal designer. So I do all the code that makes the pedals do the things they do. And then people might know me from the Dan Explains It All video series, which is our tech demos for those pedals. So I just kind of do full-on walkthroughs of everything they do. And wear a bunch of other hats too, but those are kind of the bulk of my story, why I'm here, you know.
What kind of hats do you wear?
Oh, a supply chain hat that just looks like a pile of knobs right now. I've got...
No, I was just thinking, do you have like a beret?
No, Tony.
No.
Tony. He's already got 2 accessories. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're like, Dan, who's this Dan guy? But you've seen all the videos, you're like, okay, he's the guy with the lamp.
Lamp.
Well, usually, a lot of lamp.
And the silver microphone.
And the silver microphone. And the mustache.
Yes.
Those 3 things.
And
any
the
one of those 3 things.
And the guitar playing guy next to him.
Right, that guy.
Is it a mustache or a moustache?
Ooh, that's a good question. Dan, what would you consider yourself with the thing under your nose?
I guess it depends on whether I'm wearing the beret or not, but usually I'm not. So I'll just go with mustache,
okay.
I think.
All right. Well, like I said, we're going to have a really good time because this is a very momentous day. Like, I can't believe, like, we really do try, and whenever we possibly can, to get interviews in and or around a release date of a new wonderful thing. And boy, did we nail this one. This is the day that the Sunlight has been introduced to the world.
I didn't realize that was just today.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Lined up very well.
Yep. First thing I saw in the morning, I was like, Shazam, that's the pedal we have.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Way to go, Gomer.
Shazam. Golly. So anyway, all the things that he says. Anyways, we're going to dive deep into that and just kind of get a better understanding of, some of the approach that Old Blood Noise takes to pedals and your role in that. I mean, you have a huge part of where we are tending to be steered in the guitar gear world due to what you guys are pumping out. So more on that later, everybody. First of all, we're going to take care of a few things. Those few things are, I kind of feel like I sound like Paul Stanley a little bit, that first of all, we're going to take care of a few things. I don't know.
Well, that was a horrible Paul Stanley.
That really wasn't it?
Yeah.
Bad. That was terrible.
That's worse than my Italian accent.
I just thought to myself,
might be.
like,
I think I'm with you, Jared.
Yeah.
do I know who Paul Stanley is? Am I thinking of the wrong person?
Oh man, I'm a little bit embarrassed.
Good.
But that's okay.
You ought to be.
I don't mind it. So without further ado, I wanted to share something. We got a couple of announcement type thingamabobs here, and one of them was we get some fantastic mail sent in, and I wanted to share this particular one. So here we go. This is from where'd it go? It's coming up. Lauren Stern, and this was the subject of Treble Booster 37 Effects. Hey guys, I just wanted you to know I picked up another great pedal that I never would have known about if it wasn't for your show. I've always brushed off treble boosters thinking I don't need one. But when you had a few guys saying how great they are, I had to pick up the Tombstone at 37 Effects and see what I was missing. Yep, and you and your guest were right. It just gives my gear that extra push that I didn't know I needed. I have the Car Skylark amp, and it has a built-in attenuator. The Tombstone brings the dirt and clipping all together. What a great pedal. That was really nice to hear.
That was nice. Is that
Yeah.
the one that I tried out?
Yes.
Okay, I passed that off to Rob. And that's the one that has the switch that has two deep sides in addition to the standard?
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
So, and that to me was the nicest part. Normally, treble boosters can be very scratchy to the eardrums.
Yeah.
But that one in particular, I liked having the ability to filter in more bass on one position and even more bass in the other position. Very nice.
Seeing that on a lot of treble boosters being built right now.
I think it's a good solution to a common complaint with treble boosters.
Well, it lets you play with different kinds of guitars without going, well, can't use that sound. Anyways, Lauren's 4 on the floor is a Tombstone, as just mentioned, the Dry Bell Vibe,
Oh, nice.
the Meccano Wah. That's one of the old ones. The super old, man. They're like from the 1800s.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize they had electric guitars back then.
I have 30 of those.
Yeah, 30 of them. And the
I don't.
Fuchs Plush Valve Job.
Ooh.
That just sounds dirty. All of it just sounds dirty.
Yeah, even the name.
I have a Fuchs Lucky.
Who's the Fuchs?
Fuchs Lucky 7 amp.
Yes, I've tried that. It sounds really good. It's sort of like a.
It's a Marshall in a small package.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Dan, are you familiar with the Meccano Wah?
I am not. That's a new name to me.
Yeah, it's from I guess Mike Meccano or something. Mike McConnelly, maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah. So, anyways,
Not familiar with that one either.
Yep.
So now we are. Now we got some research to do.
I know, and I didn't do it right before that. I just read the thing. I got to send a letter, and I'm trying to make things happen here.
Way to go, Todd.
Anyways, so thank you very much to Lauren Stern. Also has a pretty cool moniker, 6 broken strings, 6 broken guitar strings.
Oh,
I like that.
Yeah, I've been there.
So the other thing is, we have a very exciting deal going on.
What?
Yep, with Positive Grib.
Grib?
Oh, that new thing.
I was trying to hold in a burp, so it sounded like grib. So with Positive Grid, they sent us a Spark amp, and we have had a ton of fun with it.
It's great.
I'm actually practicing with it almost every single night.
Really?
Truly.
Good for you.
Yep. Because everybody's asleep, and I can just plug in and go.
You using headphones?
I am.
Okay.
Sounds fantastic. Yeah. So, anyways, tonight in the fourth installment of this, we're going to tackle a truly incredible aspect of the app that accompanies the Spark amp.
Do tell.
It's called Auto Chords. You know what Auto Chords does? Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell you. Auto Chords. It automatically displays the guitar chords for millions of songs.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you're saying, wait a minute. What is it? How do I get all these millions of songs? What, do I have to subscribe or something?
No.
No. It's a free app.
Included.
You buy the amp, it's free.
Free.
All you do,
What if you play by ear?
then you can not look at this.
That's right.
I guess. But it's just the chords. It's not showing, like staff music or anything. It just lets you help. It helps you play
Sometimes
the
that
song.
helps because sometimes you need a is he playing a B minor there? Or,
Exactly.
Blah, blah, blah.
So all you do, you connect you can actually connect directly from this app to your Spotify, to Apple, or even YouTube. You pull up the song and it instantly shows you the chords.
Wow.
And if it, for some reason, doesn't instantly show you the chords, you just have to hit request, I think it's acquire the chords, and just like tick-tock, bang. And all the chords for the song shows up.
Now, see, I never tried that when I was testing it out. That sounds like a very cool feature because, every once in a while, even
you're
someone
pretty good, but I can imagine
seasoned as I am says, let's cheat a little bit.
Especially some of those Beatles songs. I mean, those are deceivingly simple.
There's some crazy chords in there.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
No, I guess deceivingly complicated. That's what I meant to say. Simply deceiving.
They're simply deceiving.
I mean. Anyways, so you choose any of these songs, and the smart app, the Spark Smart app, is going to auto display this in the chords in real time as you play. So it'll play along. As
I've said before,
as you're playing the song, it's showing you the chords, right?
As I've said before, that app is more than 50% of that whole thing.
It's outstanding. And for me, I will often get stuck on something where I'm like, oh crap, I'm stuck in this particular part of the song. Mm-hmm. It lets you either slow down the song by half so you can like really get it. You can even loop that section, any section in the song if you want.
Is that like Michael rowed the boat ashore? You have trouble with that one?
Are you, now you're just making fun and making me feel bad because yes, I do get stuck on that. I don't know French. Sorry.
What?
Anyway, so all you need to do, this is really, really simple, everybody. The Spark Practice Amp with the auto chords, 10,000 tones and more, you can get that. You can sign up to win one.
What? Win?
Yes,
Win?
PositiveGrid.com/guitar knobs.
Well, I'm going there right now.
Do it. And if you don't want to wait, you can get one for under $300. And there's deals all over the place on those things.
Yeah.
It is an outstanding grab.
And the app and everything is free.
It's free.
Wow.
That's it. So thank you very much to Positive Grid for hooking us up with this deal and passing that on to our listeners. We really appreciate it.
I can't wait to give one of these away to one of our listeners.
It's going to be mighty cool.
Yep.
Speaking of mighty cool, let's find out what's going on in our music world this week. Tony's going to kick us off. Then we've got to hear from our man, Dan.
Yes. Well, Todd, this week I received a nice email from one of our listeners.
Oh.
One of our supporters.
We got a twofer tonight.
John Anglin. And John wrote me an email. He says, well, I know that, listening to the podcast that you, meaning me, Tony, like inexpensive guitars that you can customize.
I think those are great.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always, I love that stuff.
Yes.
So he suggested these Harley Benton guitars.
Yes, I've heard about those.
And I've seen them. I haven't played any. I know that I've made pick guards for several of the models because they're pretty non-standard when it comes to things like that. I usually have a guard that comes in that I duplicate. And I mean, I've seen them on Reverb, on eBay, but he bought his directly. There's apparently a German music store that has these in stock. And he said that the one that he most recently purchased was kind of a Cabernita style Telly, and the guitar was like $200, and shipping from Germany, and then any taxes and things like that was about another $100. So for about $300, he got a guitar that he is super, super pleased with.
That's awesome.
And then he went on to say that he bought his son a Gretsch style, like a 6120 Gretsch, big box jazz box. And same thing, that one was maybe about $100 more, but arrived safely from Germany in about 3 days after he got the shipping notification. So it's pretty great stuff. I'm gonna check this out. I went to the website.
They got a double cut junior for $213.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now, one caveat, you do get what you pay for, but he's been very happy with the ones that he's purchased.
You got really fancy with caveat, didn't you?
Yes, it's a caveat.
Caveat.
But they have other things that are, there's some Rickenbacker style kind of things that are probably not just because of the body shape, not kosher to bring into the U.S., but they have Tellys and Strats and Les Paul styles. The body style on a Rickenbacker is trademarked too.
Oh, that boils my blood pressure.
They're not made of blue spruce, although they might be. But anyhow, thanks, John. That's a great tip, and maybe some of our listeners can check that out too. He says a lot of times that these on Reverb and eBay they're a little more, overpriced. And he said in his research that it was actually less expensive to buy them from the company in Germany and have them shipped than it would be to buy on eBay or Reverb. So
and
good tip.
German stuff is built poorly. Said no one ever.
Well, it's not German stuff.
I know. I was trying to.
But
okay. Anyways,
they're imported from into Germany first.
We won't ask where they're coming from. Anyways, Dan, are you still there with Dan?
I'm still here.
Okay.
I noticed that on podcasts, I tend to just nod while people are talking, as if people can see me. Like,
yeah,
I'm
can
listening.
see you.
We can see you.
Yes.
We placed a camera in your space.
Indeed. Your spirit animal, an American Standard poodle, is in our chair across from us. I don't know why I picked that. I really don't. Dan, what's going on in your music world other than the obvious thing that happened today?
Yes, I know. We'll talk about that later. Let's see what is going on in my music world. I feel like I have two things right now. We'll make them quick. So one is I'm in a band called Plain Speak, and we, like many bands, didn't really do much the last year and a half, but just this last weekend we got together to work on some new songs, which was very exciting. Had, a bunch of ideas kicking around over the last year and a half, and to get to, take them to my friends and say, let's flesh these out into full things and start talking about recording them and really get that process going is exciting. Good sense of forward momentum.
Now, is that Plain Plane or Plain?
That is Plain.
Okay.
And then the word speak. So plain speaking.
Yes. Got it.
Yeah.
I like that. That's pretty cool. What kind of music is it?
So it is sort of Death Cab for Cutie-ish, like early indie emo, early 2000s kind of indie emo kind of stuff. There's a little bit of various other surprise influences. Listen to a lot of Blur and REM and things like that. But it's kind of firmly in that kind of softer side of emo category. But
now, it would be actually hilarious if I said, "Oh, so is there a lot of reverb on it?" And you're like, "No, I hate reverb." I'm just a straight through the amp guy.
It's amazing how I will structure, so we didn't play together for a long time. Our first show back was in July, and I was like, all right, I'm going to build out this pedal board to revisit these songs. What are some new pedals to add, kind of have fun with it. And of course, you just keep loading up the pedal board, this sound and that sound. And then you realize most of the time I have like an overdrive and some light reverb, because that's really all I need most of the time. But it was like every pedal throughout the set had that one moment, all right, now it's Dweller's time to shine, or it's time for the Tensor or whatever. But in general, most of the time, I didn't really have that many pedals on.
Right, you're like, hey, here's something, hope you like James Taylor. You play the whole song, and at the very end, some crazy thing starts ramping up into oblivion. You're like, ta-da, I'm Dan.
Oh, that's cool.
Essentially, yeah.
Right on. Jared.
Yes. So, wife and I and the dogs went to North Carolina last week. And I had a good time. We went up in the mountains. Our friends have a place up there. It's very beautiful. And I just took my Gibson Dove that my dad had for a long time. And so I just had that guitar.
I'm really glad you rescued that, because I thought I was talking to my aunt. I gotcha.
Okay. Did you bring both flavors of Oreos with you?
So I took my Gibson Dove with me, and that's... Every night there's this, it sounded like a bear got caught in a bear trap every night. And I was like, Paul, he's a, fellow who owned the house. I'm like, Paul, every night it sounds like a bear like fell and broke his paw or something. Cause there's just, every night. And I'm like, what is that? He's
Literally
and he gave me an
bear
answer.
crapping in the woods.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a constipated bear. He couldn't give me a straight answer. Every day it was something different. He was like, well, there's cows down there. They're probably, they may be in heat or, and he would just give me a different answer every night, man. But I don't think he cares because I think he hears it every night. Seriously, it sounds like an upset bear.
That's
like
really
a
weird.
bear in distress, actually.
Did that disturb your guitar playing though?
No.
That's
I
good.
played over it. The old Gibson Dove
That must have
sounded
sounded
great,
amazing on
so.
the porch, man. That porch was beautiful that you showed
Yeah,
us.
nice big porch, and then we had a fire pit, and the neighbor came down. We had a good time, and then drove all the way up to Ohio and dropped off my wife and the dogs at our home in Ohio. I grabbed the Stratocaster with it's a stacked pickup I made for that, and it sounds really dark and good, and
That's awesome.
doesn't sound like a weak single coil. I think a lot of guys struggle with the Stratocaster bridge pickup in a lot of different rock and roll applications. So I brought it back to Old Hickory, where I live near Nashville, and I've been plugging that in and kind of playing that.
Do you literally live on Old Hickory Lane or Street or what it is?
Old Hickory Boulevard.
Okay.
I don't live on Old Hickory Boulevard, but I live off in Old Hickory Village.
Yeah, my wife literally grew up on that street on Johnny
Old
Cash's
Hickory
Lake.
Boulevard.
Yeah.
Yes.
What
Yeah.
a coincidence.
Well, anyways, so
Sorry.
that's a good story, man. I appreciate that. That's kind of it'd be interesting to hear what that is. I hope it isn't, in fact, a Bigfoot or Yeti.
I'd love to know what it is, and it could have been a mile or two away because it's.
You need some night
when
vision
you're
goggles.
way up in the mountains, it could be anywhere, literally, because you're really high up in the mountain.
Yeah,
Cool.
too cool.
Yep.
Hey, Todd, what about you?
Well, let me tell you. This week it was practice. We got a couple gigs coming up, and I just was laying into it.
Oh, wow.
And I
Whole
decided,
band all in one room? Or
no,
you
just me this week.
Okay.
And what I was doing was trying to be mindful of. I overthink everything,
Shocking.
So I actually spend a lot of time like if I'm playing and I'm on any kind of stage at all, that where's the amp pointing? At someone's face, at someone's belly, So I actually put them in different heights to hear if there was, because sometimes you can be like, hey, this sounds great, and then you move and you're like, oh my gosh, it sounds awful.
Yeah.
You're hearing like tones that are coming out that are no good and that hurt the ear sometimes,
Yep.
especially if I'm playing. So I did spend some time just trying to make sure, like, hey, do I have any, kind of like messing around with an EQ. What can I do if there's something that really is not beyond not pleasing for rock and roll, but like it just flat out hurts your ears? Because we've all been at shows where you want to get up close and you're like, I can't. This amp is killing my ears because it's just there's a frequency or the way it's pointed or whatever it is. So I was trying to be mindful of that, trying to help people in the audience,
Yeah, no, that's a good idea.
not run away from what I'm doing.
Have you tried tilt back stands that you can put your amps on?
I have one, yeah. But see, the other good thing that we have going is my bass player puts one of his cabinets on my side, and I put one of my cabinets on his side.
Right.
So my cabinets are both on the upper half. I get the upper bunk, so to speak.
Okay.
Because he does, his are, big.
Yeah.
So it actually works out pretty well. So that usually means it's pointed kind of like right at my butt. Mm-hmm. So.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
that's good. I mean, that's safe. Usually, where you really run into problems is if it's like at ear level.
Yeah.
And, that's just no bueno for the crowd.
Yes. And so I have considered, I actually bought, this is my lo-fi version of like being awesome. I'm like, I'm just going to get 2 door stops. And I put the door stops. It worked for a little bit. It just tilted it up just enough. Not really enough. It didn't really work.
You needed about 15 degrees at least or so.
So anyways, that's what I was working
Well, that's
on.
cool. I mean, that's very thoughtful of you.
I hope so. Thank you. I want people
Good
to
consideration. Yeah.
Yeah, I want people
Both
to
good.
like lose their mind and rock out, and not like lose their mind while they're rocking out because it
And
hurts so
they're hearing.
bad. Yes. Anyways, that was a ton of fun. Thank you so much, all of you kind gentlemen, for sharing all that business.
Hey, Todd.
Oh, Tony, what's going on?
Well, you mentioned that you were practicing a lot at home.
I am.
Were you using a pedal board?
I am using a pedal board. I'm using my pedal board, as a matter of fact.
Well, that's good. Mm-hmm. How do you connect all of those little boxes? I know you have a lot of little boxes.
Yes.
I think
All
some
the
people call them
amazing
effects pedals.
All the amazing pedals, yes.
How do you connect all of those things in a nice,
Velcro.
clean, easy way?
Together.
No, together.
Yes.
How do you patch them together?
I patch them together with my beloved Tour Gear Designs patch cables. Jared, you've got a few.
I've got several of them, and I use them every day.
Yes. And you know what? I will even tell you, my drummer, Matt, is borrowing my HX Stomp.
I thought you said he was going to wire his amp or his drums together.
I let him borrow it he just wanted to check it out. And so I took it off the board, and I realized that when I was practicing, and I was like, I've got a huge gap between these two pedals. Luckily, I reached for, I think it was 18-inch cable, and I was like, oh, I just bridged the gap right there.
Nice.
Bang. Not a common occurrence, but
So you're saying they come in a wide variety of sizes?
Wide variety of sizes.
How about in terms of shapes?
In shapes, they've got S-shaped cables.
Yeah.
Which is
So if you're going from like the bottom
a top
of one
mount to a side, something like
side,
that.
to the-
and then C-shaped cables, which is two tops together.
Wow.
It's fantastic.
Love it.
You can go get these yourself at tourgeardesigns.com / the discount / guitar knobs. Good save, Toddy. Yes.
The cables are very good. Yeah? Yeah.
Oh boy. You can go
I'm
to Tour
not
Gear.
German.
Yeah, you're not German. Go to tourgeardesigns.com / discount / the guitar knobs, and you're going to save 10% off your entire order.
10%.
10%,
On top
not
of
on one cable,
being
all of them.
reasonably priced.
Double-digit number.
That is.
These are nice flat cables. There's many different sizes.
All the sizes.
They're not terribly expensive,
not terribly expensive.
and they do the job.
And they are fantastic.
right.
I absolutely love them. So, tourgeardesigns.com / discount / the guitar knobs. Or I think you can probably just put guitar knobs in on the code thing. And
That sounds easier to do it that way.
Anyways, thank you so much to Tour Gear Designs for sponsoring our 4 on the Floor. Jared?
How about a little bit of this?
That's very villainous. All right. 1, 2, 3. 4 on the floor. Dan from Old Blood Noise Endeavors. Why don't you give us your 4 on the floor?
This is a hard one. I have to say it. So, okay, let's do this. The first in my chain is going to be the Thorpe Effects Camouflage, which is probably a bold choice to kick off with. But anyone that knows me these last couple years knows that I really like a flanger first in the chain because of the way that it hits drive stages later. There's just this extra shimmeriness, and you don't get that. It's like distortion into a flanger, super jet plane harmonic kind of stuff. Flanger into a distortion just gives this motion and brightness, and the Thorpe in particular has like a treble control and a blend control, so you can really give it this subtle kind of bright voice that just gives this little bit of motion. So I feel like that's my first, just to give me a good baseline of modulation that I can hit.
I like that idea, and in fact, I was inspired because I saw, I think Hochstrasser made a video about playing him in front of a drive or distortion. I think I caught that on Instagram this week, and I'm like, I'm gonna try that, and I tried it, and I think I did it wrong because it sounded like doo doo. It was so, it would hit certain, like when it was flanging, it would hit certain tones, and it would sound like a screaming awful thing.
Wood animal.
It was terrible.
Yeah. And I should note that I like to keep the resonance basically all the way down. I might put a hair in, but for the most part, it's not there. So it sounds more chorusy than flangy in terms of like, it's not a super resonant flanger, But what I like about that flanger is just the way that, a chorus can get a little kind of seasick or a little too lush in front of a drive, but a flanger has that just like, I don't know, that implacable softness to it. That's just it gives you extra harmonics, but it doesn't overwhelm the sound, at least to my ears. Maybe everybody else is like, Dan, could you please turn off the flanger? But for me personally, I really like it.
Jared, do you like a flange?
I love the flange when it's barely noticeable, but it's kind of still there. That's kind of like my favorite. If you're, especially with single coils, I think it just kind of gives it a little more color to kind of make up for the thinner sound compared to a fuller sound from a humbucker. That's just my liking, I guess. But yeah, of course,
that's exactly.
I don't know. I think I have 3 or 4 different ones, possibly.
Nice. Yeah, that's exactly how. Like I'm playing a telly, 90% of the time. So it's it just there's something about that interaction where it helps counteract some of the thinness and just give a little early motion to the whole thing.
That's pretty
like
cool.
that.
I like that
that.
idea. I'm gonna try that.
I'm going to try it again, and maybe I'll do it right this time.
Yeah, just subtle. Just make it more and more subtle all the time, and
Gotcha.
then there will be a moment where you'll forget it's on. I was testing. I was like, okay, I think I know my 4 on the floor as we're about to record. Let me just play around with those 4 pedals just to kind of experience it just as those 4. And I kind of forgot that the flanger was on. It was just like a nice motion, and then I turned it off and was like, oh yeah, I want it back on. It didn't sound like there was a flanger there. It just sounded nice.
Cool. What's up for number 2?
Yes, number 2. Enough flanger talk. All right. So this was the hardest part because I love light overdrives and overdrives with fuzzy characters, and I'll usually have a few drives on a board to craft a bunch of different kind of structures of gain. But I wanted to just do one for the 4 on the floor, so I figured the small sound, big sound mini was the way to go.
Oh, yeah. I think we had that. We tried that one out, I thought. Here,
nice.
For the podcast we did. That's a cool pedal.
It's really special the way that you can dial the bias all the way back and the gain all the way up, and it's this kind of gated fuzz. But then you dial the bias back up and the gain a little bit down, and suddenly it's just a dynamic overdrive, and it's got bass and treble controls, so you can kind of shape it. And it's one of those kind of special pedals that works both as a foundation overdrive. So you're playing through a clean amp and you just want a little bit of grit. It can help you get there. Or you're playing through a dirty amp and you can really shape how you want it to push that particular amp's character.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of versatility in it.
Yeah, as I remember, it was I'm a big fan of the EP drive or EP boost.
Yeah.
And this one, I think, because of the tone controls and it had a little more flexibility, or you could certainly shape your tone a little bit more.
Oh yeah, way more.
Yeah,
way more. Agreed. Nice. What's next?
Yeah. All right. So next up, actually inspired by Ian Pritchard, recent guest of the Guitar Knobs. He had the Red Panda Lab Tensor in his 4 on the floor, and I thought, yeah, me too.
Oh my goodness! Because you guys are ganging up on me here.
So there's two kind of reasons for that. One is that it's a good way of, within my 4 pedals, I have one that does weird stuff. So if I just I want to go off and kind of experiment, there's a lot of room to do that in Tensor. Mm-hmm. But then also there is essentially an ambient setting where if you set it up to just do a sort of simple reverse sound, and you just mix that in where, like, put the mix knob at like a quarter of the way up. So you just have kind of your notes just reversing like pretty far underneath your main signal. And it gives this ambience that almost feels like a reverb, even though it's obviously not a reverb, because occasionally you'll do a quick little 3-note run and you'll hear the 3 notes come backwards at you. So it's definitely not a standard ambient sound, but it feels that way. And so that's where I basically leave the tensor on that setting all the time and just kind of kick it on for certain, verses and things where there's a little bit of just space to fill out. You hear little notes kind of coming back at you. But you can also get wild with it if you want.
Cool.
So May I once more encourage you to give the tensor another shot.
I'm starting to feel like the kid that can't ride a bike.
I'll give you a setting. I'll give everyone a setting because I'm looking at it right now. What you do? You turn your speed knob all the way down. You turn your time knob straight noon, pitch knob straight noon, random knob all the way down, and then the mix, like I said, about a quarter of the way up. So that way there's no randomness happening. There's no time stretching happening. There's no pitch shifting happening. And you get just that reverse sound. And I think you'll find
okay.
that
I can get down with that.
It's pretty approachable there.
I like a good little reverse action there. That sounds good. So that is a pretty delicious number 34. Tony's giving me the.
I said that was number. That was 3.
Well, I know.
Now and then we're on to number 4.
That's what I was doing, but then you got me all confused. Tony, he's like a catcher, a bad catcher. Stop giving me signs. Okay, well, how about number 4? Yeah.
How about number 4? All right. So this is the Strymon Flint.
That's a great pedal.
Yep.
It has actually been the last pedal in my chain for many years. I put it on the pedal board and it just has not left. Everything else moves around in its position, might get swapped out here and there, but the Flint just gives you a little bit of reverb and that harmonic tremolo on there. I just kind of can't get enough of. But in particular, having that flange up first and the harmonic tremolo at the end is just a lot of subtle modulation that the way that those two play together is really nice. So I could kind of leave those both on just all the time and forget that they're there until I turn them off and go, oh, my sound is fine, but it's just not moving anymore.
Mm-hmm. That's cool, yeah. And I think that's the real key with most modulation is keep it subtle. You can't run any of these pedals full up with, all wonky sounding and things like that if you want something useful. But I think the subtleties, especially on the Flint, that is that's a tough pedal to beat.
It is. I think that lineup would naturally, I understand why you picked that to go with your acoustic funk set called Rick James Taylor.
Yeah, Rick James Taylor. Good one, Todd.
You like that? Oh, dear. That's so dumb. Anyways, moving on. We have... Jared just bought a positive grid, he told us. Sure. Yeah, that's fantastic. Dude, you're going to love that thing.
Yep.
Legit.
Dude, I hear about it almost every day. I see it almost every day. I'm like... I'm just going to do it. I'm going for it.
Man. Excellent. I like that action. Dan, I can imagine how hard that must have been to choose 4 pedals, considering what Old Blood Noise does with creating so many amazing sounds. And not just the sounds. Something that I pay particular attention to is how you use the pedal. And I think you guys have put a lot of focus on that. I might be misunderstanding that, but with different types of controls, different types of tactile controls, sliders and stuff. Man, we all love sliders. It's good stuff. So anyways, I just wanted to give a shout. Thank you for doing that. It makes pedal playing fun.
Well, hey, thank you. I'm glad people are enjoying the sliders and that idea of trying to make something that feels good to play with and that can help you get good sounds fast. I think that's definitely a priority for us, is to not... We definitely make some overwhelming things, some things that will do a lot of wild stuff.
Yes.
But we want you to be able to let me just see what happens if I turn the knobs to noon, and maybe, and a lot of the times you'll get a pretty nice sound there that kind of introduces you to the pedal in a way that's not too confrontational.
I was kind of bugging out on the Fault version 2 today. I was kind of looking around. I was like, oh, that looks like a fun pedal. It's a dual overdrive sliders.
Yep.
It's a fun one.
So good.
Pushing those sliders for your EQ is just it's a great experience.
Oh, we're not talking about White Castle.
No. No, definitely not. Anyways, insert your slider joke there. So, all right. So, Dan, as we mentioned, we had really big news today. You just released the incredible Sunlight pedal, which we had the opportunity to spend time with. And after kind of losing my mind for the better part of about 45 minutes, I talked to you on the phone, and I probably made a rude first impression because I think I was like yelling on the phone. I was like, yeah!
I could
think it was something like
feel
that.
how like gobsmacked you were by the experience.
It was awesome.
And I, for a second, was like, "Is this one of those trick voicemails?" Oh no, Todd is very excited about the new pedal. That's awesome.
Yes, I quickly followed that by a howl. It might have been the same thing that Jared heard out in the woods
After eating sliders.
Yes, but that's not far off from the sounds that I was making with that pedal. I mean, it was incredible.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna shut up, which everybody's like, thank goodness. Finally, he recognized it. Okay, Dan, tell us about this amazing pedal. And then once you do, we're going to get into a little bit more of helping to understand what's going on with Old Blood Noise Endeavors.
Yeah, sounds good. So yeah, Sunlight is our brand new reverb pedal, which, we can talk more about this later, but, I joined Old Blood about a year into its existence and was not involved in the design process. And then in, I guess it was 2017, I just started getting interested in how does all this stuff work, and started asking questions, messing around with stuff, and basically eventually became the full-time, digital designer over at Old Blood. And Sunlight is kind of my entry into our reverb lineup. So people might be familiar with our Procession and Darkstar, which are both kind of known for their hold switch. I mean, in addition to all of they have very interesting reverb voices and modulations and pitch shifting and things like that. But
and the artwork.
Each of them has and the artwork, of course, yeah, that they are just very beautiful things to look at. And they each have a hold switch, which kind of works, like if people are familiar with the Electro-Harmonix Freeze or the Game Changer Plus pedal, kind of pedals that grab your note and just sustain it forever. It does that kind of thing with whatever's left in the reverb trail. And so as we were working on Sunlight and thinking, what haven't we done in terms of a reverb? A lot of what we tossed around was dynamic stuff, just having dynamic interactions with, between the player and their instrument and the pedal itself. Mm-hmm. And messing around with different modes, we can have it modulate in this way, add these different delay lines. Oh, what if there's one mode where it dynamically holds? So when you play a chord, it lets that chord in, and then if you stop playing, it just sustains that chord forever. But then it's always ready for, if you play another chord, it lets that new chord in, lets the old one fade away, and sustains the new chord forever. And we started playing around with that, and suddenly it was like, oh, this is the thing. It's going to be our dynamic reverb pedal that does a dynamic hold function, and it does it across all the modes, every voice in the pedal. If you turn the knobs in a particular way, it'll do that dynamic hold thing where it lets new notes into the reverb and just sustains them forever as those new notes trail out, and you could just keep adding to it or back off and just let it run forever. And there's a few different modes in it. There's one that has a modulation that kind of sounds like almost like a tape machine. It's just a very like lopsided, wobbly LFO. So it's kind of uneven like a tape machine would be. And then there's a comb mode, which is just super resonant. It's actually kind of inspired by the resonance of a flanger with short delays that kind of do that resonant thing. And then a bandpass mode that does the random sample hold, like step filter kind of sound, or you can just make it a fixed bandpass where you just voice the reverb with where you're filtering your signal. And yeah, there's just a lot of functionality to it, expression control, and a secondary foot switch that you can assign to a bunch of things. So it's exciting to feel like I have really made my entrance in terms of
oh yes you did
Old Blood's reverbs,
Well, I have to admit that I took this out of the box, plugged it in, and usually I'm pretty intuitive about making things work, and I said I can't make this work, and I watched Dan Explains the Sunlight, and I was amazed at the things that this little pedal can do. I mean, I tried a few of the settings out, and some of the things that you suggested, and it is pretty. I mean, it's amazing.
It is pretty. It's a beautiful pedal.
Well, it's yes, that too. But the things that you can do with this, I mean, it has just some incredible capabilities. And then you also sent along one of the expression rampers, which to me,
Yeah, that's a whole other.
That's a total game changer in terms of. I've never liked expression pedals, mostly because I felt like I was doing a wah pedal kind of thing. This definitely gives you the option. I mean, it does. It's like a automatic expression pedal, I would say. It gives you the ability to have some settings, and that to me, the combination of those two, wow.
Aside from all the trickery it does, the reverb on this, the things that it can create, it was so pleasing to the ear. Once you figure out this, like, I can manipulate the reverb on this and still play over that, I mean, man, doors just open up. And so you can hit that with a fuzz, and you're creating this incredibly blown out harmonic, tonal, just everything. Hit the alt button and then do something cleaner on top if you want, or probably not dirtier. I didn't do that. I wanted to hear the articulation of what I was doing on top of it. And quickly I realized, okay, this can be so many things to so many people. And that was one of the first things that Dan and I talked about. Okay, Doom guys are going to love this, I think. Or anybody playing like super heavy stuff, more droney stuff. This is amazing for that. And also, a whole lot of things in between. If you're doing any kind of gazy type stuff, if you're playing any kind of ethereal stuff, and if you're in a worship band, I found applications for my own kind of music, which I wouldn't run something like that through a whole song per se. But man, I was like, oh, I could punch this in. It would just sound incredible for this one or two parts.
Right. In your case, you've got a bass guitar and drums, and this actually gives you the ability to kind of put in, dare I say, keyboard sounding things.
Yeah, absolutely.
With some extra fills.
And I've toyed with the idea of buying the Freeze many, many times. And that was the other thing I said. I've almost bought the actual Freeze pedal many times. Right. One of the reasons I didn't is because I felt limited by it. Mm-hmm. This completely opened up, so like limitations are gone. Also, soft switch, so I didn't have a clunk when I hit that thing.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Yes. Yeah.
That was the heavens agreeing with it.
That's Jared's grandfather clunk.
Oh, you ruined it for everybody.
The call from Sunlight on high.
Yeah, exactly. So, Dan, tell us a little bit about, like, aside from when you guys first kind of discovered, hey, this was the thing that we decided we were going to do. Walk us from that inception to now.
Yeah. So Sunlight, I think, has an interesting story, partially because, we've been talking about how great it looks, and the artist for it is a guy named John Carling, and it's the same person we worked with for the Dark Star. So people might recognize that the art style is the same, and so it feels like they exist in the same universe. You almost picture them as two characters and want to kind of flesh out the whole story. But John sent Seth McCarroll, who is our creative director. Basically, he had drawn just a kind of a mock-up of a thing he was calling Starlight, and it had some knobs, and he thought maybe it could sound a little bit like this. I don't know. It's just a sketch that thought you guys might be interested in working together on a pedal again. And this was in 2018, maybe. It was a long time ago. And we all kind of said, oh, that would be awesome. It would be great to work with John again. Let's find the idea. And I don't know, at the time we were probably working on Whitecap or Dweller, or there's always multiple ideas that are kind of floating around in the idea pool. And we just hadn't picked up Sunlight until, I want to say, early 2020, late 2019. We talked about it again, and we said, well, what if it was another reverb? What if it had some dynamic elements to it? We tossed around some different potential mode ideas, figured it would be kind of built on the same platform as Dark Star and Procession, in terms of, how many controls it has and stuff like that. And then it kind of fell by the wayside again. Other ideas got picked up steam, and put our focus into those. And then toward the end of last year, I said, what about Sunlight? Let's look at that again. Tried out some algorithms, tweaked them, tried out some new algorithms, tweaked them. And then that's when we found that moment of dynamic hold, where it was funny because we were almost trying to push it through. I felt like I had some good algorithms. The voice of the pedal is really coming together. It feels like something. And Brady heard that mode, and he said, what if we could do the dynamic hold thing across this whole pedal? And I was, as the product developer, I was like, well, that sounds incredibly hard, and I'm not sure how to do it. And it's very frustrating that we're this far into it, and you had such a good idea that I truly cannot deny it, and I'm going to have to go figure out how to do that. So it just kind of locked in at that point of like, all right, we've done some different revisions. We thought we were just about done, but then this amazing idea comes in. Turns out we're not done.
Mm.
So plug into it a little more, and keep working on that software, redesigning the circuit boards. There's an extra control that input control used to not be there until eventually it turned into what it is today.
So just out of my curiosity, how long does it take to put something like this together? I mean, are we talking years in development or months or?
So it really varies, where in terms of active time, you're probably talking months, but from product to product, it might, you sort of pick it up, set it down for a while, pick it up, set it down. Or sometimes things just, for whatever reason, like I can't talk too much about it, but the next thing we're probably going to be releasing, I think I started working on also at the start of 2020. And I kind of feel like I've been actively working on it this entire time. And it's only just now finally coming together, because it was, this particular hardware thing, this particular software thing, then a supply chain thing, and, just kind of kept getting pushed back. But in the meantime, we've been able to work on other things. I've been working on Sunlight simultaneous to this new thing. And so it's tough to pin down exactly how long these things take, partially because you're always spinning multiple plates at the same time.
Right. I think that's real important to point out that, in the digital realm, myself included, I didn't realize how long that it takes for someone to sit there and do the code and test and then recode and all that things.
Yeah.
We're used to, pedal builders that just, solder things together in an afternoon. And the digital realm is just, it's a far more complex
Indeed.
thing.
Yeah, I think the thing that people discount a lot with digital stuff is that it's not just a black box of code. It's code that is connected to a whole bunch of pins that have to be connected to a whole bunch of other things. Mm-hmm. So when you want to add a different kind of control that reacts to your input signal, it's like, oh well, how does the input signal even get into the chip in the first place? And then how does that chip read it and process it and output using a different pin, a different control for the other chip that's actually doing the sounds? And it's so much of the difficulty is just the software hardware interaction.
Right. It's like an electronic turducken.
Yeah.
Indeed. Well said.
As per usual.
Well said, Todd.
Yes. So, now you released that this morning. Like, walk us through. You've been nursing this little baby here for a long time, and now you get to release it to the wild. Talk about, what does that feel like to you?
Strange. I think you spend a lot of time thinking, I just really want it to be out in the world. I want to be able to tell people about it. And then that feeling sort of starts to fade. And then there's another couple weeks where you're just waiting. It's almost strange that it suddenly becomes a real thing. And there's also this feeling of, as you're finalizing it, we're about to shoot the video for Sunlight, and I realize there's a little bug in it, and it doesn't really affect the video, but I think whatever units we're using, I want them to have the bug fixed just to make sure that bug fix doesn't cause any other issues. And so you're just kind of scrambling up until, what feels like only a few weeks before the product comes out.
Right.
And then for those few weeks, you just put it down and you don't think about it because there's nothing left to be done. It's a finished product, and the demos aren't coming out yet, so nobody's talking about it, and you're kind of sick of playing it. And so for those few weeks, you almost forget about it. And then on a day like today, it's really interesting to shift from, you're working on something for a couple years, you just develop this complicated relationship with it where it's like, you love the way it sounds, but it can be so frustrating at times. And, this thing doesn't work, but then you figure it out. That's satisfying, but gosh, what a frustrating process to have to go through. So by the time it's done, you kind of feel like, all right, I finished it. it's my baby, but also like I don't want to see it for a little while.
Yeah.
You set it aside for a few weeks, and you just kind of don't want to see it for a bit. And then there's this weird thing that happens where then it's the day of, and you get to see other people get excited about it. And that suddenly brings it back for you. So that like when I don't really want to watch the Dan Explains It All, because it's weird to hear yourself talk for 20 minutes, 10 of which are just about expression and alt configuration.
But I have to say, you do a great job of, bringing it down to a level that almost everybody can understand. You do that.
Thank you.
That to me, it helped me incredibly. After I watched, I spent 20 minutes watching the video.
Yeah.
But I knew more about that, the pedal than going into it.
Yeah, and when you stop focusing on, isn't that light hot? It's amazing.
I like the microphone.
So, I'm really good to hear that. Really glad to hear that. You must have like this morning woke up and just like hearing just all the chiming going on and everybody what. That's got to be just thrilling.
Yeah, it's so many positive things that, it ends up, it's like tough to get other work done in the day because you just keep wanting to check your phone. Like what other good thing might somebody be saying about this pedal? Because honestly, it was overwhelmingly positive today. And I got to see friends of ours do live streams with the pedal. And so you're seeing them interact with the pedal and then people chatting with them and kind of asking questions, and just to see people really engage with that thing that you've been working on for so long, kind of in a vacuum, not in a vacuum, but only with the people you work with. The dozen of us at Old Blood are the only people that really know this pedal. So then to see the world seeing it can really bring a lot of that excitement back and make you think, oh, I guess I did make something cool. That's fun.
Nice.
That is awesome. So, are you already working on some new stuff, or are you just like, hey, I need to take a break? How does that work for you?
There's, like I say, there's always plates spinning. So, this afternoon I did a little bit more work on a different thing we're working on. There's, I think, two active pedal projects and then other ideas in the bank. So things are always moving.
Yeah, nice. I can imagine. That's awesome. And then, as we mentioned earlier, we've got the little mini ramper here. Can you just, this has been featured on quite a few of the videos. And you do another great video of walking through and explaining this, because this little pedal is one of those pedals that you look at and I looked at the toggles. I'm like, yep. I think I'm going to go try to program my garage door opener right now instead. And I had to watch the video. I don't get everything. Sometimes it doesn't instantly click for me. But once I did, I was like, oh,
that's what it does.
Yeah. And then you immediately think of all the different ways you can use that. So what was the genesis of this little guy?
It's actually tough to remember where this one started, because I think with a lot of our utility line of pedals, it's usually a moment where somebody goes, I kind of wish that I could do this with my setup, or I could make this happen, but I can't really find a tool that does that thing. And so, at some point we had the idea of just something to move an expression control around in an automated way. And I think that it's interesting hearing you guys talk about, complimenting me on the Dan Explains It All stuff is really nice to hear. And it makes me think about how part of my goal, I think, in product development and in the way I approach those videos and just generally my life in the gear world, is that I really like surprising things and strange things and things that are sometimes complicated to get to. You look at something like the Red Panda tensor. It's very confusing when you first plug it in.
Okay, so it's not just me.
No, me too. I put the speed knob at noon, which means it stops playing anything back. And I went, why is there no sound? I put all the knobs at noon.
That's what I did.
But but I really like to find those moments of surprise, but to get more and more people to be able to experience them. So I think there's a lot of ways to do like MIDI interaction with pedals, and there's a lot of tools out there to make your pedals kind of move through presets and change settings based on all these different complicated parameters. And I think we just wanted to make a really simple tool that could just move a knob back and forth in an automated way. So anything that had an expression controller, this expression ramper will assign an LFO to it. So you say like how far you want the knob to go in one direction, how far you want it to go in the other direction. So you think of that as like your heel and toe as you're using expression control. And then you say how fast you want it to move from heel to toe and back and forth. And then you just hit a foot switch and it does that. And it's once you kind of get how it works, it's suddenly very simple. You're like, oh yeah, okay, this makes sense. And now I'm thinking about every expression enabled pedal that I own and how I might be able to coax some new sounds out of it.
Well, I think just even going from the triangle wave to the square wave, to me, that's, and I don't even know if you want to call it a square wave, but the square shape where it just kind of like,
it is, yeah.
To me, that's sort of the little sprinkle on top of that pedal.
Yeah, to be able to just either linearly move between two things or just skip between two settings. And, especially when you're, say, like moving the time on a delay or something like that, it's such a different character depending on whether you move smoothly or jump to those different settings like that.
Yep.
So yeah, even that coaxes new sounds. And I remember with Expression Ramper, that didn't take 3 years. It probably took a year or something like that from kind of idea to release. Now, actually, it was probably 2 years, if I'm being honest with myself. I cannot remember these timelines. It feels like a year, but it was probably longer than that. But I remember as we were getting closer to that one, I was just afraid that somebody else was going to come out with it first, because once we finished it and started testing it with all the expression pedals we had at the shop, and it just kept working and it just kept doing cool things, I just kept thinking, like, we can't be the only people thinking about this. Like, surely some other company is in development on this exact same idea, and we have to get to the market first.
Right.
And that didn't happen. And it still hasn't happened. I think Electro Harmonics did one that was the same size, and you could switch between two different assignable settings. And when I first saw it, I thought, oh no, is it ours? And then it's like, no, it's a different thing. So it was just, really nice to be able to surprise people with that idea as well.
So we talked to obviously a lot of builders on the show, and a lot of people who are listening are, coming up with their own ideas and endeavoring into, the world of gear building, and whether it's a pedal or something else. That's one of the things that I feel like most people who are building anything at some point in time are gripped with the idea that, oh no, if I don't hurry up and release this, someone else is going to, and my dream's going to disintegrate in front of me.
Yes. Yeah. I think there's something about, I don't know if it's like imposter syndrome maybe, but it's like if you find a cool idea and you're excited about it, then suddenly you think, oh, well, if some guy like me thought of it, then surely millions of other people have thought of this thing, and everyone's trying to push their product to market. When in fact, part of the fun of pedal making is that we all have unique voices and unique ideas. And so two people can release the same genre of pedal on the same day, and there'll be totally different approaches to what seems like it would be the same thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's why we have so many different pedals, and there's room for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. We're really excited about this. I'm, no doubt your ears are going to be just ringing from all of the positive vibes that you continue to get. And I can only imagine some of the sounds that people are going to be coming up with this and sharing. And on that note, one thing I really did appreciate in particular after going through the demo was, oh, and by the way, here's a little trick. That the little thing at the end where someone may not have come to that conclusion, but that was an entire other sound altogether. So you probably want to go watch that video, people.
Yes, yeah. Using both the ramper and the Sunlight together.
Right. All right. Thank you so much, Dan. Everybody. So tell just real quick, where can people go grab this?
Oldbloodnoise.com. And then we have a whole dealer network as well. So if you got a local dealer you want to support, ask them about it. Hopefully they will have it as well. So yeah, it's all over the world right now.
Brilliant. Okay, we have got some pretty special stuff here from our buddy Jared, all the way over in Nashville.
That's right.
Nash Vegas.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time
for one of our favorite games, especially Tony. He loves this game.
Love it.
It's called Tony's Island.
Tony's
No, I'm just kidding.
Usually it's called Tony's Island.
Right. Well, tonight we're going to call it Would You Rather? Tonight's Would You Rather. So you're walking down the street on your way to a gig and you forgot that you left your guitars in the public bathroom at a park. They're gone. Luckily,
They're gone. The Bears.
Why were you in the bathroom
Right.
in a park, though? That's the biggest.
At least it wasn't a rest stop.
because you wanted to take them with you so you wouldn't lose them, but you left them there anyway.
Yeah.
Well, lucky for you, you're in a band that is opening for Detroit Rock City Limits, a cover band mashing up Kiss songs, and Stevie Ray Vaughan songs is willing to let you borrow one of their only 2 guitars. So would you rather play the Strat stuck in position 2, which is the out of phase, or Ace Frehley style 3 pickup Les Paul stuck in all 3 pickups? He doesn't shoot sparks.
No.
It
No.
doesn't shoot sparks either.
Yeah. So
this is, what's the name of that band again?
the Detroit Rock City Limits.
Oh, a little play on Detroit Rock City and Austin City Limits.
Yes.
I see.
Stevie Ray famous for that.
Yeah.
It's probably a show you want to miss. So anyways,
Wow.
clearly those are 2 sounds that most people try to. They're not necessarily the most pleasing sounds to play an entire show with.
No, not at all.
So, Jared, the Would You Rather is the Stratocaster
Stuck in position
stuck in
2.
position 2, which is out of phase,
Middle and bridge out of phase.
middle and bridge. Ugh. Or all 3 humbuckers at one time going full blast.
Yeah. That's neither are very. They're not
Especially a
gonna give
whole
you-
show.
Yeah, a whole show.
It's going to
You
be
got
fun.
it. This is probably one of the worst. pick the worst thing out of the 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not good.
Okay. Tony?
Yeesh. I mean, both of those are not very good positions. I mean, yeah, that out of phase Strat position and trying to play a show in that position,
Yeah.
I would just have to smash the guitar, I think. And then
You're usually
3
not that critical of sound, so
Yeah.
that's
Just when it comes to you. And then all 3 humbuckers on. What a muddy mess that is.
yeah.
I mean, the lesser of the 2 evils in my book, I guess, would be all 3 humbuckers. And then you just have to ride the volume control constantly just to, I mean, because that's a neither one is a good option. So the lesser of the 2 evils, I'll do the all 3 humbuckers on.
Okay. All right. Jared?
Definitely going to be the Stevie Ray Vaughan, because that's going to be, even though it's out of phase, it's a lot. You have a lot less going on there. There's less pickups smashed together, and you can actually control that tone much easier than a blob of 6 coils wound instead of just 2.
But the position 2 makes a pretty like wonky, honky, quacky,
it
quack,
is.
right?
It's the quack
It is,
sound.
but that's when you get your Tone Ranger type pedal and you kind of counter react that with a different sound. So
But didn't you leave that in the restroom too?
Yeah.
I may have,
Yeah. When you were washing
but
your
I'm
hands.
definitely taking this. I'm
You're doing the Strat.
I work for Gibson, I know, but in this case, I got to go with the Strat with the circumstance.
Yeah. Okay.
Gotcha.
Dan, how about yourself?
Yeah, that is a tough one because normally I'm a single coil guy. And I know if I grab that Strat, I'm going to think it sounds amazing. I'm going to have a lot of fun with it. It's probably tuned to E flat. That's great. And then the moment we start our first song, I'm going to go, oh no, that's not the sound. So I'm trying to draw up, for myself, the sound of 3 humbuckers at the same time. But I still think I'm going to ride that volume knob. I was thinking the same thing of like, do I have a volume knob? Can I just maybe get the output a little lower. It's still going to be muddy, but maybe there's something there, because I think I actually love that Strat sound, but not live. That's like a great playing alone at home sound, but then I take it to the band. It's like, nope, that's not the sound.
Playing alone at home unplugged.
Oh, man.
So I think I'm going to go
Yay,
with
I've got company on my island.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at least I know it's going to be a show I can look back on and be like, that was a wild one. I played that guitar with 3 humbuckers the whole time. It sounded terrible, but at least it was totally unconventional.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to choose the Strat.
No, it's impossible.
I'm going to choose the Strat. You know why?
Wise choice, my friend.
Because it's going to sound terrible, and then I can actually blame it on the Strat.
There you go.
So
There you go.
I've always got an angle.
Well, look at it. It sounds like crap. Look at it.
Yes. So that was a pretty fun one. Todd, thanks for sending that in. And
Hey, Todd.
and Tony, actually, Tony was a huge.
I was the
contributor to that.
refiner.
Yes. I came in with the idea, and he did the Dan to a decent idea for a
I
pedal.
gotta tell you, man. I swear that it's totally possible for me to leave a guitar in a public bathroom.
That's a whole different show. I guess
It is.
Yeah.
It is. But I'm just saying that I wouldn't put it past myself in the right circumstance.
All right. Well, Tony, we got to thank a few people, and then we're going to say goodbye to our friend Dan.
Yes, that's
right.
true, because at this point of the show, there is a very special group of people that we like to thank. These are our executive producers. Now, you might be wondering, what is an executive producer? And more importantly, how do I become one?
Yeah.
Well, the answer to the second one is go over to patreon.com/The Guitar Knobs and check out some opportunities to sponsor this very podcast. Each of the levels has special prizes, thank you gifts, if you will. Things like barefoot buttons and picks and stickers and T-shirts and keychains and all the good stuff. But as an executive producer, you get all the good stuff, and there's one thing more. Rob, what is that?
Well, I'm going to say it because I always do. You get to have your name read on the thing.
Plus, Rob's not here.
That's right.
So
Fixing amps.
I'm going to do that right now. You get your name read on the thing. Special thanks to these executive producers: Mr. Tom Barazin, Darren Gregory, Doug Christ, Michael Van Zant, Ken Sayers, Brian Robison, Michael Senchuk, Stefan Lamb, Anthony Lathrop, John Anglin, Brad Partridge, John Esterly, Justin Jones, James White, Matt Hart, Bill Gulligataz, Richard Kendall, Tig Harmon, John Jackson, Jason Rausch, Gary Cooper, Mark Garton, Elad Mizrahi, Micah D, Trevor Gunberg, Rick Calhoun, Anthony Gemolero, and John Halverson.
All right.
But wait, Todd,
Yeah.
Wait.
there's another group, a little higher echelon of executive
Who are they,
producers.
old chum?
We call them our grand poobahs. Mm-hmm. These gentlemen, I think they're all gentlemen right now, have a special suite on the penthouse floor. Mm-hmm. They have individual hot tubs filled with orange Kool-Aid.
And they gargle with orange Otter Pops.
Yes.
Are they smoking orange cigars?
They might be smoking orange cigars. They also have a fez that they must wear on their head while listening to the podcast.
This is true.
So special thanks to these grand poobahs. Almost lost my breath.
Yeah.
Jonathan Jerusik, Corey Nigro, David Kaminga, Science of Sound, Cody Foster, Sean S. Tommy Manasco, Adam Johnson, Steve Keys, Tim Nowak, Tyler Rhines, James Pennington, LSJ Music Company, John Williams, Johnny Morales, Mal Sanders, Bob Crouch, Sam Jett, Michio Morikishi, Martin Cliff, and Hex Matos.
Yes. All right. Thank you all so very much. Your support is greatly appreciated, and it really, truly does help us out. We need to say a ginormous thank you to Dan.
Oh, yes.
Tonight. And Dan, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Thanks for having me. It's good to hang with you guys.
And massive congratulations on your release of the Sunlight. Now, where can people go find you or this pedal or whatever you want people to find?
Yeah, so all the Old Blood Noise stuff is at Old Blood Noise, oldbloodnoise.com. You find me on Instagram at Dan from DSF, which is my old band. And so I just thought that was a funny username because it references something that doesn't exist anymore. And then that's about it. Yeah, Plain Speak is my band. And
how do you spell that one
me,
more time?
That's my band. That's my company. PlainSpeak.
Okay. Is that available like on Instagram, Spotify or anything?
Yeah. We're on Spotify and Apple Music and all those places DistroKid puts you.
Awesome.
And Bandcamp as well.
I'm gonna listen to that on the way home.
There you go.
Awesome. Yeah, you can find me a lot of places.
All right. Sounds good. Tanya.
Yes.
Go ahead. Where can people find you?
Where can people find me?
Yes.
Is that what you're asking me?
Yes.
You talking to me?
So, Dan's got to go to the bathroom or something. Come on.
He's on my island. I don't want to hear it. Go over to pickguardian.
These calls are great.
Yeah, aren't they? All three pickups. I love them. Go over to pickguardian.com. Check out some of the things that I offer there in terms of custom pickguards. By and large, what I do is custom work. So shoot me an email. Let me know what you need, what you're thinking about. I can give you some advice and steer you in the right direction.
And help you find some awesome materials.
Awesome materials.
Yes. Jared?
All you have to do is get a hold of me or Todd through the Guitar Knobs social media messaging. And please ask me any pickup stuff you want to know. And I'll be happy to answer.
Yeah, and I think Jared's working on a new Instagram entity soon, hopefully.
I guess I should.
Now the cat's out of the bag. Now you have to. All right, you can send me an email, todd@theguitarknobs.com. Love to hear what you think. And you can DM me and any of the other fellas on Instagram @guitarknobs. We would love to hear from you. Send us your would you rathers.
Please.
Yes. All right. Everybody, get out to the internets and get yourself a Sunlight by Old Blood Noise Endeavors. And
don't forget the Dweller.
And
the Expression Ramper.
Yep. All right. Thanks so much to Dan and Old Blood Noise Endeavors for helping us out tonight. And have a fantastic guitar week and subscribe.
I love you.
So I was watching some of your videos, and I think you need one of those Prices Right.
Bob
Barker mics.
No, that's no, Gene.
Gene Rayburn.
Gene Rayburn.
Oh, yeah.
Well, tell him I said thanks.
I will. Rob, you can come in. No, and I'm just kidding.
Rob, come on, man.
Is this good?
No, yeah, Jared, that's
good.
Awesome. By good,
awesome.
I mean no.
Good. How's this?
You got it.
All you need is a little round thing on the end of a
stick. This is gonna be like going to the salon and having somebody like massage your scalp for an hour. Except it's Jared massaging your scalp, so you should be terrified for about an hour. Chopstick and stick a blueberry on it.
So I went there to buy healthy, good vegetables like from farms and stuff, and the lines were so long to buy those really nice giant tomatoes and all the good stuff, the farmers stuff,
You just bought a corn dog and left.
Worse, man. I bought like a big peanut butter mud pie. It was like $32 too. It's not cheap.
What? Did you just spill your brewski all over the thingamabob?
Yeah.
You're like, please, yes.
Myself,
this is... All right. Raspberry.
More of a grape.
A mushroom.
A large grape.
A fun mushroom.
Let me get a little bit of that.
We just found out what was in the woods.
Then I also came home with a loaf of zucchini bread, which I will not share.
Thank you. I appreciate stopping. Yes, saving me from stupidness. I appreciate it.
Damn, son.
I can see you later on tonight dipping the entire loaf into the pie and nibbling on it while watching reruns.
Well, he's got to put some butter on that
Doogie Howser.
on that zucchini bread, though.
Yeah. Whoopsie.
How about this? How about a little bit of this?
How about a little bit of this, Jared? It's one line.
You want the this? You want a little? You want the this other than the that?
Hang on.
Yes.
Okay.
That's better.
No compression.
Clap. Take
Here we go.
5.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard enough episodes to
not
to
listen
kind of know the
anymore.
deal,
I
so-
see where that's going.
I'm having fun, so
Good.
hopefully it's
I like
hopefully it's
this.
fun for you guys as well.
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Nice.
All right. Want to give me old clapperoo, old chum?
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.